story of the ninja begins in the chaos of Japan's Sengoku period, or Warring States era, a time when feudal lords or daimyo were in constant battle to gain power and territory. The ninja, or shinobi, emerged as covert operatives during this time, operating mainly in the mountainous regions of Iga and Koga, where secret shinobi clans trained in skills that were both feared and respected. Unlike the samurai, who were bound by a strict code of honor, the ninja operated in secrecy. They often came from the lower classes, farmers, villagers, even samurai cast-offs who developed their own system of survival skills, blending martial arts, stealth, and the art of deception. Ninjas trained in taijutsu, or unarmed combat, a martial art emphasizing agility, joint locks, and throws. Unlike the samurai, who wore heavy armor, shinobi needed speed and flexibility, often using minimal gear for quick movement. Through years of practice, ninjas perfected techniques like yoko aruki, or sideways walking, to move silently and avoid detection. They also became masters of disguise, using everyday clothing to blend into any setting, from a castle to a crowded marketplace. The tools of the trade included some iconic weapons like shuriken, throwing stars, and kunai, small daggers often used for climbing or hand-to-hand combat. Smoke bombs, grappling hooks, and even climbing claws were part of their arsenal, allowing them to infiltrate enemy strongholds with ease. But the ninja's role went far beyond combat. These shadow warriors were spies, tasked with gathering intelligence on rival clans, plotting against enemies, and even sabotaging enemy forces. They practiced techniques of deception and psychological warfare, spreading false rumors, setting traps, and creating distractions to weaken their foes from within. To communicate without getting caught, ninjas used a complex system of codes and signals, including reflective mirrors, hand gestures, and secret markings, allowing them to send messages quickly and covertly. To understand the rise of the ninja, we need to go back to Japan's Sengoku period, a time of nearly 150 years of constant war. The country was fragmented, ruled by powerful feudal lords, known as daimyo, each controlling their own regions and armies. Samurai warriors pledged loyalty to these lords and fought bloody battles for land, power, and honor. But the endless conflict also created a demand for warriors who could operate in ways samurai could not, unbound by the strict codes of honor and ready to perform the tasks that others deemed dishonorable. This need gave rise to the shinobi, later known as ninja. Unlike samurai, who were noble warriors with ties to Japan's aristocracy, the ninja were often from the lower social classes, farmers, peasants, and ronin, or masterless samurai, who struggled to survive in this turbulent time. Their background and skills would allow them to blend in and operate in secrecy, away from the bloody battles waged by the samurai. Two regions, in particular, became famous for cultivating ninja skills: Iga and Koga. These remote, mountainous areas provided natural defenses and isolation, which helped the local communities develop unique methods of warfare, self-defense, and espionage. Over time, these communities became known as shinobi villages, where specialized training and secret techniques were passed down through families. Life in shinobi villages was tough, and many of those who trained as ninjas came from humble beginnings. Farmers, villagers, and even former samurai sought refuge and survival by learning ninja skills. Life in feudal Japan was harsh, and for many, becoming a ninja was a path to protection and power in an otherwise brutal world. Training was rigorous and began at a young age. Unlike the formal training of the samurai, ninja training was practical and focused on survival, stealth, and adaptability. Young recruits learned techniques that ranged from unarmed combat to specialized skills like climbing, camouflage, and setting traps. They were trained to move quickly, silently, and, most importantly, to think strategically. Most ninja weapons were simple and could be disguised as farming tools, like the kunai, a pointed tool used for digging, or the sickle, which became a deadly weapon in the right hands. Ninjas used whatever they had on hand, learning to adapt common tools for both self-defense and offensive strategies. But physical training was only part of the process. Ninjas also trained their minds, learning skills in espionage, intelligence gathering, and psychology. They practiced patience, silence, and restraint, honing their ability to remain calm and unseen. This training transformed them into highly skilled operatives, masters of information and stealth. To become a ninja required more than just bravery. It required exceptional physical conditioning and a mastery of martial arts. The training began with the basics, strengthening the body and building endurance for the long, demanding missions they would face. One core skill was taijutsu, or unarmed combat. Taijutsu was about using your body as a weapon, focusing on joint locks, throws, and grappling techniques. This martial art taught ninjas how to subdue an enemy without relying on weapons, crucial for situations where silence was essential. Ninjas also trained in kenjutsu, or the art of the sword. However, unlike the samurai, who trained with traditional long katanas, ninjas often used shorter swords, making it easier to maneuver quickly in confined spaces. The goal was speed, efficiency, and precision, taking down opponents before they even knew what hit them. Physical conditioning went beyond combat. Ninjas trained for stamina, balance, and agility, enabling them to move quickly and quietly over any terrain. This conditioning allowed them to run for miles, climb walls, and escape from dangerous situations with ease. Stealth was at the heart of ninja skills. Mastering the art of moving undetected, ninjas became legends of camouflage and silence. One of their techniques was yoko uruki, or sideways walking. By shifting their weight and avoiding stepping directly on leaves or branches, they could move through even dense forests without making a sound. Disguise was another powerful tool. Ninjas would blend into different social roles, from farmers to merchants, allowing them to gather intelligence undetected. This skill in disguise wasn't just about clothes. It required understanding the behavior, dialect, and mannerisms of various social classes, enabling the ninja to hide in plain sight. Ninjas were experts in using their environment to their advantage. They could vanish into the shadows, utilizing the cover of night or hiding in everyday objects like barrels or storage containers. Their goal was simple: to go unnoticed until the exact moment they struck. But what is a ninja without their tools? Ninjas used a variety of weapons and gadgets that set them apart from other warriors. Let's start with the shuriken, or throwing star. The shuriken wasn't intended to kill, but rather to distract or injure, creating a momentary opening for escape or attack. With accuracy and speed, ninjas could throw these small, lightweight stars from a distance. The kunai was another essential weapon, a small dagger that could be used for stabbing, throwing, or even as a climbing aid. Because it resembled a common farming tool, it could be easily concealed, making it perfect for covert operations. Smoke bombs were also part of the ninja's arsenal. Made from simple ingredients like ash or gunpowder, these small devices created a cloud of smoke to confuse or blind enemies, allowing the ninja to vanish in seconds. For scaling walls or trees, ninjas had climbing claws and grappling hooks. Climbing claws gave them a grip on almost any surface, while the grappling hook was perfect for scaling larger walls or rooftops, essential for infiltrating enemy strongholds or making a quick escape. The Sengoku period in Japan was a time of intense warfare, where knowledge of the enemy's plans could mean the difference between victory and defeat. To gain an edge, feudal lords or daimyo relied on shinobi as covert operatives. These ninjas were sent on dangerous missions to infiltrate enemy territory, gather intelligence, and report back crucial information. Ninjas gathered a wide range of information: military plans, supply routes, castle layouts, and even the strengths and weaknesses of rival samurai commanders. By blending in with locals and assuming various disguises, ninjas were able to move through enemy areas, often posing as peasants, merchants, or even monks to avoid suspicion. Once information was collected, ninjas had to communicate it back to their daimyo. This required secrecy and discretion, as getting caught could mean severe punishment or death. Messages were often hidden, coded, or even disguised within common objects, ensuring that only their intended recipients would understand them. The ninja's job was not just to gather information, but also to manipulate and destabilize the enemy. Psychological warfare and deception were key tactics that ninjas used to undermine their targets and create confusion within enemy ranks. One method was the art of rumor spreading. By planting false information, ninjas could make a rival daimyo doubt their allies or create distrust among commanders. For example, a ninja might spread a rumor that a certain leader was planning a betrayal, causing suspicion and weakening the enemy's unity. Ninjas also use traps and signs to psychologically wear down their enemies. Leaving behind subtle clues of infiltration, they could make guards overly alert and paranoid, increasing stress and decreasing focus. Sometimes, the mere suggestion that a ninja was nearby was enough to disrupt an entire stronghold. These methods of psychological manipulation were as effective as direct combat. By creating chaos and exploiting fears, ninjas could weaken their enemies from within without ever having to strike a blow. To carry out their missions, ninjas developed a range of ingenious tools and codes to stay hidden and communicate safely. Reflective mirrors, for example, were used to send secret signals during the day. With a flash of light, ninjas could send a warning, communicate a location, or signal an escape route to an ally. Hand signals were also a vital part of ninja communication, allowing them to coordinate silently. By using a system of gestures, ninjas could communicate directions, relay quick warnings, or indicate nearby dangers, all without making a sound. Ninjas also relied on codes to protect the information they gathered. These codes ranged from symbols and markings to hidden messages disguised within everyday items. Some ninjas even carried specially marked papers that could only be read when placed in water, revealing hidden ink patterns known only to fellow shinobi. Another clever method was to leave messages hidden in specific locations. Ninjas would use hollowed-out rocks, trees, or even sections of walls as dead drops. This way, they could leave information for allies to retrieve without ever making direct contact, minimizing the risk of exposure. To achieve the focus and discipline required to be a ninja, the shinobi turned to spiritual practices. Zen Buddhism, with its emphasis on mindfulness and inner calm, greatly influenced the mental training of the ninja. Zen encouraged them to let go of fear, embrace discipline, and remain fully present, qualities that were essential for survival in high-stakes situations. Another significant influence was Shugendo, a form of spiritual training that combined mountain asceticism, shamanism, and elements of esoteric Buddhism. Shugendo taught the ninjas endurance, patience, and resilience, often through intense physical and mental exercises. By spending time in the mountains, away from civilization, ninjas would purify themselves and deepen their connection to nature, qualities that made them stealthy, adaptable, and calm under pressure. Meditation was one of the core practices for building focus and control over the mind. Through daily meditation, ninjas practiced quieting their thoughts, controlling their breath, and tuning out distractions. This allowed them to remain calm and steady even in the most dangerous situations. Meditation helped them sharpen their senses, making them hyper-aware of their surroundings and fully in tune with each movement and sound. These practices were not just spiritual exercises, they were practical tools that enabled ninjas to move through the world with absolute focus, patience, and resilience. Throughout history, tales of the ninja have become legends. Stories speak of them becoming invisible, transforming into animals, or even walking through walls. But were these supernatural abilities real, or were they the result of something else? The truth is that while ninjas were highly skilled, they weren't supernatural beings. Many of these stories are myths, created to emphasize their mysterious and intimidating presence. In reality, these superhuman powers were the result of years of training, discipline, and techniques that made it seem like they had magical abilities. For example, stories of ninjas disappearing into thin air were likely the result of their expertise in blending into their surroundings and moving silently. Ninjas mastered techniques like yoko aruki, or sideways walking, to avoid making noise and stayed low to avoid detection. In a chaotic battle, this made it appear as if they'd vanished. Smoke bombs and other misdirection tools further contributed to the legend. By throwing a smoke bomb, they could create an instant screen, giving them precious seconds to escape. To an untrained observer, it seemed like magic, but it was simply clever use of tools and timing. Another example is the myth of ninjas walking on water. In reality, ninjas used tools like mizugumo, a kind of flotation device that allowed them to walk across shallow water or reeds, giving the illusion of walking on water. This wasn't magic, it was the clever use of technology. The Sengoku period was a time when the skills of the ninja were in high demand. But as Japan entered the Edo period in the early 1600s, the role of the ninja began to fade. With Japan's unification under the Tokugawa shogunate, society became more stable and conflict decreased. Feudal lords no longer needed to rely on covert warriors to gather intelligence or sabotage enemies. The once thriving ninja clans of Iga and Koga found themselves with little work, and the ninja slowly began to disappear from the landscape of Japan. While some ninja families continued to pass down their skills, their way of life was no longer a necessity. Over time, the legendary ninja would fade into history, their skills and secrets becoming stories of the past. Even though the ninja's role declined in history, their legacy found new life in modern pop culture. Today, ninjas are seen everywhere, from action-packed movies and anime to video games, comics, and beyond. The concept of the ninja has become an enduring part of global entertainment, transforming the way we think about these shadow warriors. Pop culture has reimagined the ninja in countless ways. In anime, characters like Naruto bring the ninja's spirit to life with flashy abilities and larger-than-life powers, inspiring millions of fans worldwide. Movies and TV shows often depict ninjas as unstoppable assassins with a touch of mysticism, while video games allow players to step into the role of a ninja, testing their skills in stealth and combat. These depictions may not always be historically accurate, but they reflect our fascination with the ninja as mysterious, unstoppable warriors. Through pop culture, the ninja has become a symbol of resilience, resourcefulness, and freedom. While the traditional role of the ninja may have faded, the spirit of their skills lives on. Across Japan and even worldwide, martial arts schools continue to pass down techniques rooted in ninjutsu, the art of the ninja. These schools preserve the skills, discipline, and philosophies that once defined the ninja way. Modern ninjutsu training includes techniques in stealth, survival, and self-defense, emphasizing mental discipline and agility. Students of ninjutsu aren't training to be covert warriors in the same way as their historical counterparts, but they're learning principles that remain true to the ninja legacy, such as adaptability, calmness under pressure, and efficiency. Through these schools, the essence of the ninja is kept alive, not as assassins, but as disciplined practitioners of a unique art form. Their legacy is one of strength, focus, and the mastery of both mind and body,